Alright folks, welcome to this exciting video where we're actually doing something different on today's video. I'm on the mountain bike, first time this year. I went and got a new rear tyre and tyre tube for it, but Highlander's out on his little electric scooter today, so we're basically, yeah, out for a hurl on these things. We're down near Montrose and we're just out for a bit of fun, to have a flea about, and it's something different. Like I say, we've never really been out on these things on an adventure, have we? We're all exploring abandoned history, so let's see where this adventure goes. There's so many paths down here at Montrose. Let's get into action, folks, and see where we end up. We're keeping it kind of semi-smooth for the e-scooter. So it's a McLaren, folks, a McLaren pure. And it's got some power in it, it's a beast. Ken, this is a decent speed, look at him, he's taking off. Look at this, folks, our bike ride is taking us round past this old World War II machine gun position, and I was at this one time before and somebody commented saying that those were actually positioned inside the old airfield grounds to fire on anybody that was trying to sabotage the airfield or anybody that was coming onto the land, kind of on the outer perimeter of the old airfields. And that makes sense because this is near Montrose aerodrome. Anyway, the rain's actually spitting through the air, so we're just blasting along on our bikes. Look, somebody's spray painted a cross on the ground there. I wonder what that means. And just think what other history may be hidden within here. All the way along the coast here, this is the estuary where the River North Esk actually meets the North Sea. And right the way down here, there's actually old World War II tank traps, or anti-invasion bollards as you would say. Big concrete nuggets which is positioned along the coast to prevent and to slow any enemy invasion during World War II. So let's take a look at that as we go past. So check it out, folks, there's the World War II tank traps, and they're in pretty good condition, but they actually go right the way along the coast here, and there's probably like 200 of them or more, and they basically line the banks of the water, and there's some even lying on their sides here within the long grass. It's amazing to see this sort of stuff from this perspective as we whiz past on our bikes. Yeah, there's a wee shed, but it doesn't have a roof, so you wouldn't get much shelter there. Like, look at it, folks, World War II tank traps. This is cool because on the bikes it doesn't take long to nip round and look at this stuff, but when we're like on foot, this is quite far on these rainy days, and there is rainstorms kind of making their way through the land. We maybe need to blast on to that little forest section further up there, and I'll update the video once we're on the next section of this. Wow, yeah, look, there's even bollards there on their side. I don't know if some of them were moved at the end of the war, maybe over this track originally. The bridge is gone. Can you even believe that? This used to be the bridge where the path continued round.
We'll get some shout.
I know. Well, we head back over the way we came. Oh look, people must walk through there now. So this video is a bit of a mixture of everything, folks. I'm once again on the bike, and I'm actually solo right now on this adventure. And look at this, it's an old abandoned kirk from 1700s and before it. And look at this, we're up at the wild waters of Loch Lee, and here's a cattle grid of all things we're cycling over. Check this out. In the last clip of this video, it's kind of just a mixture of things. We were actually at Montrose, as you saw in the last clips, and now look at this, a beautiful scene of Scotland out of nowhere. And I just brought the camera with me just to see if there was anything cool to document, and then here we are. When I saw this, I thought I need to throw the camera on. This is basically the first weekend I've had the bike out, so I'm just kind of testing it out and getting back into the rhythm. And I can remember years ago cycling up here and thinking, whoa, like this is so far to ride a bike. And then like nowadays it's just so much easier, because over the years exploring we've gotten a lot fitter and better at having these wee adventures. And just check this out, there's actually a rainstorm moving along the top here. This is the waters of Loch Lee, and it's actually a man-made dam down there. And as you can see, the water's come up right to the edge of the old graveyard here, 1700s. And I think originally there would have been a loch here, but not as high, until they dammed it. And I think this is like a backup fresh water supply in the lands of Scotland. Anyway folks, let's keep this adventure going. Who even knows what we're about to see next? in the next clip. It's just spontaneous adventures here into these wild lands. Check out this, folks, on the shores of the loch. Excuse me, folks, there is droplets on the lens. I'm out in this rainstorm, but I've just pulled in here with the bike. Just look, there's a little boathouse. Hello, hello. Check it out. This is obviously people's private vessels and a little boathouse, maybe for estate workers. And yeah, that's the waters of the loch right there. If you fell in, you'd be in trouble. It's almost eerie, it's creaking. And we do see these in some of the glens, but when I saw it today, I just thought I'll pull in, because I was under the shelter of this tree there, looking out over the view, and we've come quite a distance from the actual dam itself. These are some wild hilltops at Loch Lee, and I'm going to punch on a wee bit further. I'm hoping this sunshine makes its way down the valley. Whoa, it's amazing how much this tree literally keeps the rain off me for real. Whoa, I was just looking at this tree behind me, and look at what's all over it. I don't know if it's seeds or what that is. Loads of beasts. Loads of beasts fleeing about the night, folks. The wet weather brings them out. And yeah, the waters of Loch Lee are just incredible. I'm going to end up being soaked tonight with this weather, but I'm just hoping it passes. Anyway, I'll update you wherever I end up next in this video. It's just random today, whatever I see. And I don't think I've ever documented this on a video. It's got the old stone roof, stone slab roof. And it's maybe been an old boathouse here for years for the estate that's been updated and maintained. Check out this, folks, for a scene of Scotland with the sun shining through the rain, the misty loch leading up into the high Glen. And then down at this other side, look, we've got an incredible rainbow right around the little boathouse that we were just at. I will wipe the lens, folks, I do apologise for that in this video. But yeah, wow, we're in the middle of this incredible rainbow all the way around. It's an incredible scene. But I was safe underneath that tree. But basically now I've come out because I thought, oh, the sun's out, the rain will be off in 2 seconds. But if I hadn't left that hidey hole in time, I would have missed this incredible rainbow behind me. That's the kind of thing in Scotland. You have to go out into these lands before you can see the cool little nuggets like that. Sometimes just the landscape itself is just the breathtaking thing in Scotland, as well as the history within it. Incredible scenes, folks. Look at that behind us. Whoa! The ground here is proper, like, if you go into the middle of the road, your wheel just kind of sticks in the mud. Wow, what a scene in front of me. It looks like the rain might not even go off, so I'm not sure if I might turn round now. I don't want to get soaked, but I think I've got no option. I'm going to get soaked, folks. I'm already half soaked. What a scene. What a rainbow. So check it out, folks, the rain's come on, and I've actually gone a lot further up the Glen from Loch Lee, and we've got this kind of marshy level piece of land. Back in the day, I think there's old waterways been dug and the land's been drained, and look, you can see the outlines of the old walls, and there's actually been a few of them along here. And I think further up there's been like whole crofts and things here at a certain time, maybe little buildings or little areas for the sheep and stuff like that. And I love to notice stuff like that as I'm cycling past. Years ago when I came up here, I've never documented any of this stuff, and you can kind of see the wall outline. And it's amazing how much of that is in Scotland, and these remote little roads. At one time it would have been like a thriving little farm or a community. Anyway, I'll update you once I'm further up. I might try and go up to the area up here where there's some cool waterfalls, and I think there's even more remains of old walls like that, but I'm not sure how far into the bog it is. Wow, I'm hoping this sunshine comes back out behind this cloud. The hills are so vast and massive. It's like riding the bike through like a cathedral or some crazy piece of landscape. It's hard to describe. Look at this land that we've cycled into, folks. I'm now a little bit further up the road, and there's actually a massive waterfall over at the other side of the boglands, and I was there one time years ago, but in the foreground of that we can actually see what must have been the remains of an old croft up here on the land. And look, it's the prime land here in the middle of the valley. Look at the rain up there at the higher level of those hills blowing in through the wind. And then we've got the sheep grazing as well down in these lands, like they may have done back in the days of this croft. that waterfall's probably out of the question tonight because of the terrain, but I'm thinking there's another waterfall up here we should be able to go and take a look at. So let's get into action. It's mad because I wasn't even going to make a video tonight. I thought I'll just come up here for a bike run, but then when I see scenes like this, I just have to throw the camera on and share it with the world. Not only the incredible scenes of the land with the rain and the sun, but actually the old historical wonders like these ruins. You get an aspect of how wild these lands have always been, even when the people lived up here. Check out folks, I'm probably like 200 metres further up the track, and you can actually get a true aspect of the history now. And you can actually see other groundworks here, which has actually been walls and a little building of some sort, but they've actually dug a massive trench, most likely at the time of this being turned into grazing lands in the early days of the farming. I can't even believe that waterfall over there. Yeah, I just can't believe it either folks. I'm always switching the camera off and 2 seconds later I'm thinking, wow, look at the history from this angle. Imagine the people that built those walls. Think how many hundreds of years ago it was. Mind blowing. Check this out folks, this is an incredible piece of the land here. Look, it's a wee bridge and the water's carved its way down through like a mad little waterfall. Wee, look at this. Wow, what a scene. And then it also goes round there and there's a crazy waterfall at that side that drops down. But look at this is actually a scene that I've never recorded before on the channel. And that's actually super deep and dangerous. If you fall into places like that, you can see that void there, look how narrow it is. The water's churning and frothing, and at times you can see it's been so much higher and ferocious to where the higher rock at that other level. Wow, this is mad. This little bridge, the way the land is lit up from the sun. I've left my bike down there, so I'm not wanting to punch on up here too far away from it. Now let's have a wee look over the brow of this hill. One time years ago when I came here, this is actually where I nearly stood on an adder. There was one over in the waterfall area there. Yeah, check this out folks, it comes tumbling down and all the way through there, and this whole area is totally unique. And I've never actually documented this area in this detail either. It's at this height of the waterfall. Wow, I didn't know it was so amazing there. Maybe on a day when it hasn't been raining and the rocks is less slippy, we should come up here and how we explore. I should maybe bring Highlander up here, or he should come out on his electric scooter. I think that track would probably be alright for the electric scooter as well. Like you saw at the start of this video, we were actually down in Montrose. That had been the first time I was even out on my bike, so it was cool just to get the wheels turning around. Aye, the first time in probably like a year or 2 years since I've been out on my bike, I mean. Yeah, look at it there, it's ferocious and churning. Anyway, let's punch on down here once again. I was just thinking I might go up this track and have a wee look round into the next valley, because that's an area of land that I've never actually explored. I have looked at this waterfall down here before. It kind of drops all different angles, which is cool. But I'm just wondering what is round this corner, if there's any history or old buildings. And I'm just hoping that the rain doesn't come back on. It's kind of one of these nights, one of these evenings, and this is actually a Sunday evening for me. And I'm out here doing this wee video, and it was going to be just a mixture. I didn't even know what I was going to see when I was down at the shores of Loch Lee. And in the winter, I think I'm going to punch on up there and explore the other waterfall at the far side. Because I've been there years ago, that's why I'm not going to go there tonight. Anyway, I'll update you probably once I'm further around this track, folks. Let's get into more action here and see where we end up. So there's the last scene of the valley. We've just basically climbed up that steep hill, folks. And look, there's a wee stone bridge here and the road's leading its way along. So I'm going to punch on along here and see where we end up. But instead of stopping at the bridge to record it, I thought we'll just fly over it with the camera rolling. Whoa, the hill's pretty actual steep here, and there's loose terrain. Whoa, it probably doesn't even look as steep on the video. Yeah, look at that, these are all like big valleys up there with nothing but heather growing. And then this track's leading down to this area at the bottom. This is mad, folks. What a way to explore these lands. I've come so much further tonight than what I would be able to do if I was just on foot. Yeah, that on the right hand side there almost looks like stone remains. Who knows what it's been. yeah, I'm going to punch on round this corner, folks, and see what's down here. If there's any history, I'll update the video and I'll show you. Because it's just so cool coming into places that I've never been. When I look around, scenes like that behind me, the high cliffs, solid stone mountains, and then little tracks like this leading into these foresty areas that I just love. I always imagine a little hidden cottage away in places like this. Sometimes nowadays it's nothing more than just like a pile of rubble. Whoa, there's so many beasties land on me. When I'm basically going along, there's loads of flies and midges and stuff with the wet weather. Anyway, I'll update you once we're up here. So look at this, folks, up ahead, a little stone hut. Just like I was imagining, I was thinking this looked like a photographic scene, and the only thing missing from it was like a stone hut or a little cottage. It looks like there is such a thing here, but I'm not sure if it's like obviously like a private dwelling or what it is. We'll go up and take a closer look. Yeah, what a madness. I've cycled so far up these glens. It's amazing to find little nuggets and see these little things that I've never seen before. At the start of the video today, we didn't even have a clue what we were going to see, and that's the coolest thing with having spontaneous adventures. We're all over the map seeing the coolest things like this. Look at this, folks, what a cool place to reach on tonight's video. This little hut here has got so much character, and the sun's actually shining through now on us, and I need to see where the actual track is to this place. Wow, it looks so cool. I think it's like a little bothy. So check it out, folks, in this wild land, it's like stepping back in time. You can imagine this may be how people's little house was at one time, and it's kind of standing next to this whole track. That's how main roads may have looked originally. And look, there's a wee waterfall going down past it. We'll take a quick look up here. I hope there's nobody occupying it. We'll knock at the door and see. Wow, look at the wee waterfall. What an incredible land this has been on this channel. You never know where we're going to end up. Stuff like this, it's out of the blue, but it's so cool, folks. Check it out. Yes. What a bothy. Knock at the door, see if anybody's home. Wow, what a cool little shed, folks. Look, the waterfall comes down off that steep, extreme hill. And maybe at an ancient time there had been a lot more buildings up by this riverside that I've cycled basically tonight to find this cool spot. Wow, I had no idea this bothy was here. It would be cool to have a wee camping trip up to a place like this and maybe stay the night on a weekend or whatever. It's amazing to know that places like this are around. Let's take a look in, folks. Hello! Some of these places are proper eerie. Hello there! Let's get the torch on, folks. Look at the wee fireplace. The old fireplace, look. Wow, what a scene, look. Probably still in use by the looks of things. It actually smells in here like the smoke you get from a fire. When I first came in, I was just taking it all in, having a look around. You can see people's camping equipment, and there's just graffiti from all sorts of people. Look, Danny Brown, Arbroath. Wow, that's what these bothies are like. This is actually a really nice bothy, this one. There's a pallet up there as well. I'm not sure if somebody at one time maybe slept up on the rafters. And like the door's fully carved. Yeah, cool wee Scottish bothy. Wow. Just names galore on the door, folks. From all different times. People up here had fun, had parties, had chill outs. And who even knows what weather conditions outside the door over the years. Wow, I just love to see it, folks. And I love to document all kinds of places on the channel, even things like this. We'll seal the door up again once again, the way it was. And it's actually in decent condition. Shout out to the landowner and stuff for keeping that around. I've got my torch, you just shake the phone for it to go off and on. It's handy in that situation where I just need a wee bit of light pretty quick. Yeah, this is amazing. It looks like maybe recently people have been camping around here. That character of that building, that's made it worth tonight's bike run. Obviously these roads keep on going further up into the glens, into the wild lands, but I've come so far from the car, I think I'm going to punch on back the way I came. Maybe in a future adventure I'll actually go further on up the road. Or I might even potentially just go to that corner where we can see the sun shining tonight. That's what I'm like on my adventures, I always just want to go that wee bit further or just see what's round the corner. And tonight we found this incredible little Bothy. It's a Bothy adventure, but we've not actually stayed here. But maybe one day in the future I think it would be ace to come and do that. And I'll hate to tell Highlander, sometimes these places can be super eerie as well, and I love that side of things as well. But yeah, wow, what a place. I love the noise of the water as well flowing its way through. And then you see the wee chimney, so I think, yeah, you could use the fire obviously, but in places like this you do have to be careful you don't burn the place down as well. And if there's stray sparks or whatever getting near the roof beams and things like that. It's been built with old limestone mortar, so it must be quite an old building. Maybe at one time far more in this area, though. It's interesting to theorise on my adventures, but the hills around here are so stony and rocky. You can see there's been a lot more trees here at one time, but between that it's just so many rocks and stones. Yeah, my bike is still down by the tree. I'm hoping nobody steals it. Yeah, I'm just taking a walk right around it. Once again folks, we're getting an idea of this place. And look at this, this is the waterway. That's a source of fresh water in this place when you're down here on the adventure. Probably the toilet as well for many. Imagine that in the summer's days, swimming around in there, paddling about, and then spending the night in there, drying off by the little fire, or a wee fire crackling at the fire pit. So there we are folks, an absolute paradise scene. A place with so much character on the land here. And look, there's little areas here, and what an area to stand to get a view of this place. I've never actually seen this, I had no idea it was here. Now that I'm here, it's such a peaceful location. I'm literally just standing, getting my energy back after such a crazy bike run up here. And if I hadn't gotten my bike back on the go again, like this weekend, just spontaneously, I never would have been this far up in the Glen. And it's mad how many fresh places and adventures become available once you go that little bit further on the bike. Little buildings like that. Little historical ruins like that as well. It's not really a ruin, it's not even actually abandoned, but little bothies like that would be the correct terminology. Anyway, let's punch on folks, away from this little spot in heaven, and let's go up to the top of this corner. I'm wanting to see if I get a view around the Glen a little bit and see if there's any more buildings. Sometimes you can get a good view in the distance and you can cover a fair bit of land, and then you realise there's no history. Other times you have to keep on cycling further and further just to keep on seeing what's round the corner. This area here looks like it's been built at a certain time, and maybe for some reason there was a stone building here back in the day. It's maybe been an old building here for a quarry or whatever, or I'm not sure what's been happening, but it's interesting to theorise and to think about the history folks. Anyway, I'll update you once we're further on. I can't even believe that. When I saw this area from when I came down the hill where the bridge is, and I could see in the distance these trees, and I thought, that's the kind of area you would get a wee cottage or whatever, and that's why I kept going. And I'm so glad that I did folks. Mad places like this, look at that. So look at this folks, this is as far up the Glen as I'm going to go. You can actually see, looking back down at the low land area there where the Bothy is, there's actually been an old wall line here leading round a certain part of this land. But yeah, this is basically as far up this hill as I'm going to go. I could just keep on going and going on these tracks, but I'm actually limited, because I'm probably like, I don't even know how far from my car, but when it's this stormy weather, I'm so glad I actually pushed on through those first rainstorms so I could see that history of the old building. Anyway, the next time I update the video, I'll probably be back down the Glen a fair old whack. And yeah, well, unless I see anything cool along the way, I'm wanting to get a good bit of ground here covered within a short space of time. But yeah, these valleys just keep on going and going, and I'm always just so curious to see what's round the corner. But yeah, some evenings you can just go so far and get caught out in a storm. I'm pretty much far enough away now. I'm turning around, and what an adventure, folks. You know how it is, the spontaneous adventures are the best. I'm always so hyped when I see stuff like that. Anyway, this is the turning round point, folks, so let's get into the next piece of action here once we're down the Glen a bit. Check it out, folks, we're now further down the Glen here. Look at this view. My bike's actually lying on the grass over there, so I'm hoping nobody nicks it. But I've come over this path here just to get a view down the Glen. This is where I'm wanting to actually come in a future video, so I was just analysing the path. One day we're going to punch on across to that waterfall, and it doesn't actually look too bad. It might actually be a goer for one of these next weekends coming up, because that is an incredible adventure. Tonight obviously we've seen so much, and the sun is actually setting here, but when I saw this path I thought I'll analyse it and then I'll know what to expect. And to be honest, it looks pretty good. I can't even believe the scene looking over to the waterfall. It's like a painting. We've actually got the moon out up in the sky there, and it's been so cool to come out here on the bike. Wow, it like opens a whole new avenue of adventure. I've said it already on the video. Down here's this incredible waterfall in front of me where I've actually seen adders and stuff. Normally within the next month or couple of months, that's probably like prime adder season. These glens on a sunny day is the sort of area that you see them, and I've probably seen them like every year. I would say I've seen multiple adders in these lands. You can see here where they've been burning the heather on this part of the hill and on various parts of the hill, and that's to control the heather growth. It always grows back, and that's for the rearing of hill birds out here. Look at the big nuggets of quartz right there, folks. Look, it's like a mirror at places. I don't even know if the light shining on it a certain way shows how cool it is. But yeah, look, there's even some of the heather flowering, and I'm sure bell heather, it's called bell heather. That's the type of heather that it is. Anyway, let's go back down over here. This is where on the way up the Glen, I obviously looked at this already, but right now I was just wanting to look over that view, try to get a decent angle of that waterfall. Anyway, I'll update you once I'm further back down near the car, or near the lower parts of the Glen. Look at this, folks, ancient remains at the path side. I'm actually further down the Glen now, and I'm just about at the waters of Loch Lee. And yeah, look at this, there's a wee lamb. Hello! It's okay. Check it out, folks. Hey, I've scared the little beast. Look at that, hey, the sheep and the lambs. That's the land that we share this with. Tonight's adventure. Look at that, that's all been built as well. Old dry stone walls. I love to see the sheep and the lambs and stuff kicking about in the lands at this time of year. What a mad adventure it's been from those higher glens there down to this lower lying area, which is kind of near the shores of Loch Lee. And look at this, there's actually another old abandoned cottage kind of at the path side down here. This is what I love in Scotland. You can see on the far hills ahead, you get those little patches of sunshine just working their way along, and it gives such a character to the land when you see those cliffs getting lit up from the sunshine. And look at this here, it's been a little dwelling. Look, the little sheds is there, but also look at the house. I can see the walls actually cracked, and probably because it's built in a bog, it's not been maintained for so long, it's probably starting to fall to the wayside. Look, the window is open nowadays, but I don't think the estate obviously wants folk poking about and going in the thing like that. It was boarded up for the longest time, but I love the character of the stonework with those old cottages. I might have had a look at that if we hadn't seen the old Bothy tonight. That was just so amazing. And look, this is kind of where the river flows into the top of the loch, and it's incredible grazing lands for the sheep. Anyway, I've got a little uphill section here. I'll update you once I'm further down Loch Lee. So look at this, folks, it's almost sunset over this place, or maybe it's probably a good hour and a half yet before sunset. But look at this, you can see a wall line there and it disappears down into the water. And that's actually a sign of the history here. Before the days of the dam getting heightened, it would have been Loch Lee, a tinier loch, and then when they built the dam, the water would have risen up. Like we've documented. Whoa, sorry folks, I nearly dropped the camera. But yeah, we've documented history at Luntraethin Loch and backwater dam like that, which disappears into the loch, and that'll explain why there's old wall lines and stuff there that just go straight down into the water. And it's mad to think of the history which could be under there. Little houses and crofts and ruins. It's just mad. Yeah, this morning when me and Highlander were out, or at the first part of this video, when me and Highlander were out, it basically came on heavy rain and stuff, so I didn't actually record too much. That's how I wanted to come and do like a part 2 to this video this evening, and what a part 2 it's been, folks. To see that Bothy and stuff like that, so special. Video update, folks, check this out. Millions of tadpoles, see them all? Little baby frogs in there, folks. And this whole waterway, honestly, for like miles down the side of the loch here, it's just full of them. Look at that there. I don't know how well it is for the reflection of the camera, but there's just so many of them in there. Thousands swimming about. They'll turn into frogs within a few weeks. It's cool to see that, and the magnitude of frog spawn. And then at this side they'll hop over and boom, they'll live a happy life in this valley. So look at this, folks. For the outro of this video, I've brought you down to a special spot, back down to this little boathouse that gave me shelter under the tree in the rainstorm when I was on my way up. Look at these beasties on my arm. That's what happens when you're cycling on up these places, folks. But yeah, here we are at the shores of Loch Lee. What an incredible adventure it's been. Look, we're standing on these stones for the outro. What a peaceful, calm, beautiful spot this is for the outro, and standing in front of this little boathouse that we hadn't even explored for like 5 or 6 years on the channel. Last time I probably came around here on the videos, it was like when the videos weren't even good. On my first videos ever, I used to not even speak or anything. I would just edit music over like shaky footage. But yeah, I'm doing the outro here because the battery on the GoPro's actually just about flat. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll be back soon with the next one, wherever I end up going. Tonight it was just so cool to see what we saw with that little Bothy, and the history way up on the hill, the old stone structure with the limestone mortar standing up on the hill, and to see this and even the rainbow and the atmosphere around, it's just so cool, folks. Anyway, I'm ending it here. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you soon with the next one, wherever I end up going.